Hey there and welcome back to Tactical Breach Wizards. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of this completionist walkthrough on hard difficulty with health cut in half. Last time we left off after resurrecting and, well, more or less recruiting this guy right here, Rion. Formerly Druid Hitman in the ranks of our arch-nemesis Liv Kennedey, he's now fighting on our side after Liv revealed to him that her plot actually involves taking over the entire country of Midil, the country where Rion is from. Liv's reasons for doing all this are the mana stockpiles of Midil, as Liv and Reactor, the group supporting her, have found a way to weaponize the stuff. Thus, allowing them to succeed would mean letting them seize a global mana monopoly. Needless to say, we are still hot on her heels. And that is where we pick things back up today, as Jen and Zan discuss what they've just heard. This is insane. The hubris of it is making my head spin. Oh, the hubris fits, but I didn't read Liv as having nation-building aspirations. No, this must come from Gadden. He was spouting something about a new global nation when he took Reactor public. I've texted Liv for a meet. I have to try and talk her out of this. I'm sorry, what? I know it's a risk, but our history might be the only shot at triggering some kind of reality check, and my foresight— Zan, you have her number? Well, it's an old one and I don't know if she'll even— Oh, okay, no, she got it. She's in. You've had her number this entire time? Yeah, I mean, we were close. Zan, we've been hunting this woman across half the southern hemisphere and scratching our heads about her motives, and you could have just phoned her? I didn't think she'd take my call. Worth, like, trying, though? Do you think? I also didn't entirely think of it till now. Oh my god, Zan. Anyway, the meat's solid. Private space in a public place, I've got blink out. Oh, I don't need reassuring about your safety, man. You go have fun with your bestie. Ouch. Okay, that was a bit much. Do be safe. Just don't talk to me for a bit. Understood. Should I tell you how it goes? Sure. Send me a f***ing text. Veska? Kennedy? So Rion told you the plan. Turns out dead men do tell tales, if you bring a necromancer. Jazzed for you, but you missed your chance to stop it. You have to know this can't work. Why not? You and I removed regimes stronger than Midil's, with half the resources we have at Reactor. You can seize a building, you can't seize a people. We're seizing every building the country's run from. We don't need to seize the people. You think Midilans are just gonna sit back and let you turn their country into a war machine? I don't care where they sit. They can't stop us building the most powerful military on the planet, and they'll thank us once they have that guarding their country. Seriously, in the history of invaders who said they'll thank us, how many do you think actually got thanked? I don't care, we're not doing it for gratitude, we're doing it because someone has to. Come on, Zan, you know you're not gonna win a strategy debate with me. Ask me what you really came to ask me. Does it matter to you on any level that this is wrong? You always did struggle with the bigger picture. How many times on how many ops did we break heads to stop a larger threat? You more than me. I was better, true, but this is the same equation, it just has more zeros at the end. Mana can make anyone a super soldier, almost on my level. Midil has veins of it running miles below the ground. It's a world-ending threat just waiting to fall into the wrong hands. Should be safe with your for-profit military corporation though, yeah? Reactor isn't about profit. Gadden's the real thing. He genuinely wants to change the world. Cool, the one thing safer than a billionaire out for profit, the billionaire who's decided money's not enough. Gadden's the guy who's not afraid to make the kind of decisions that you always joke on. So of course you've decided to write him off no matter what he does. Your concern that someone might militarize mana would look a lot more noble if you weren't working for the company that just militarized mana. Oh, Reactor didn't invent this tech, we stole it. From who? Command never told you? You still don't know who we were there to grab on that cargo ship? The Yodasa job? No, they clammed up right after they dishonorably discharged me for it. That kid was subject 0 for mana tech. The Druid Mafia figured out how to load him up with more craft than a senior's hobby knight. Wait, I let you get taken just so the DSR could steal a human experiment from the Mafia? Excuse me? I am sorry, for what that's worth. I don't know if it counts for anything now, but I've been waiting 2 years to tell you that. Letting you down that night was the hardest choice I've ever had to make, but I had to save the kid. Zan? What? You do know you let that kid die. Come on, Liv, that's not gonna work. You seriously don't remember? I was there, Liv. I saved that kid. And indeed, we played through this level at the very beginning of this series, realizing that we could only save either Liv or the hostage, and so we shot this mafia guy here to save the hostage. God, Zan, is your head really that f***ed? You're remembering foresight instead of reality? Okay, so apparently this does not feel right and we need to rewind. I'm sure you saw yourself save him. I'm sure you played it out in your head every way you could. And indeed we did, trying out every possible solution in this scenario. So I suppose let's go back to what we tried in the first place. And again, it appears as if this is not what happened. But when it came to it, you just froze. And indeed, we have 3 absolutely lovely objectives here. I also really like the touch that committing to a decision costs 943 mana. Panicking only costs 1, but we don't even have that, and so we are left with no other choice but to hesitate. I couldn't let you down. And yet, Zan apparently froze, which is exactly what we have to do at this point too. I couldn't make the call. Starting to come back, isn't it? And just like that, we are left with no other choice but to foresee our failure. You let me get taken, and you let that kid die. You did nothing. And there we are. Liv is gone, the hostage is dead, and we could go back to relive it all over again, but instead let's not torture the poor man any further. You thought I was mad at you for choosing the kid? I wish you'd saved the kid. The DSR would have proved the mana threat was real, they could have moved on it. Instead, you got their best agent captured, a critical human asset killed, and the only thing you brought home in one piece was your own sorry ass. Starting to see why you got discharged? So, where were you taken that night? Some rickety shithole on the north coast. It was almost funny, like putting a panther in a birdcage. I clipped 4 interrogators before they figured out they were never gonna touch me. And how did the tech end up with Reactor? They got wind of the Zan Vesca disaster hour, and they did what the DSR should have done in the first place. A unilateral raid on every known mafia front on the Medellin coast. They got all the research, captured the shrub lords who work it, neutralized non-essential personnel, and broke me out when they found me. And that was enough to sign you? Not the jailbreak. I was a day from busting out either way. It was the objective. They're the only ones who took the mana threat seriously, and they had a plan to control it. The Medellin coup. A half-assed version of it. They were going to install a puppet regime and call it independence to buy some protection on the global stage. It was my idea to nix everyone else's mana reserves and then say f*** the global stage. Christ, you are perfect for each other, I'll give you that. But you can't expect me to just believe this. It's okay, man, you'll have a lot of time to adjust while you're crying into a bottle back at your Mars place. If you think this is gonna stop us, oh, your little clown crew, they're already dead. Bullshit. Clipped them myself 15 minutes ago, the moment you walked out the door. I'm sure you thought of every way I might try to kill you tonight, always watching the ball, missing the cups. I'm never gonna kill you, Zan. You're too easy to outplay. Go home to your corpses. I've got a country to take, you've got funerals to arrange. Looks like the rats found your tunnels, Dal. Not just rats, Rion says Kennedy's here. Oh shit. If only any of us saw this coming. Alrighty, 10 minutes into the video and we finally have our first mission in what is definitely going to be a slightly different episode today. For now, we only have one tracker in the room and of course Liv Kennedey herself. And she is absolutely nasty. Instead of dying, she will simply clone herself and she can do so up to 50 times. So I think it's safe to say that we are not getting rid of her. She also has the Quick Bolt ability, which is essentially the Chapel Shepherd on steroids. Anytime we do something, be it movement and action or even just simple things like grabbing intel, Liv will get a reaction move or shot afterwards. Now granted, she is limited to 3 reaction attacks per turn, still this does require a bit of planning. Our 3 confidence goals meanwhile already point us in the right direction for that plan. We need to finish things quickly, we ideally want to transfer some damage, and we want to make Dal our tank, and of course ultimately we need to get everyone into the green zone. Rion goes first and as you can see immediately triggers a movement reaction from Liv, and these she can use an unlimited number of times. And just like that, her second movement already gives her line of sight with Dal, who can thankfully tank 1 hit. So that's Jen and Rion already in the green zone. Up next we now work on Dessa's confidence goal, and we'll make sure not to grab the intel here, instead we'll cast transference on Dal, so that Liv eliminates her own tracker. At this point Liv is also down to only 1 more reaction attack this turn, and in theory we are now going to trigger that with Dal's charge, but since that charge will take Liv out, something interesting happens. Heads up, Kennedy doesn't die right. Little trick I learned from Zan. Perfected. Okay, screw this, we need to run. And indeed we need to, as Liv Kennedy is now Liv Kennedy 2 and with 1 more hit point than before, a process that she can repeat 49 more times. However, crucially, we have made her waste all 3 of her reaction attacks and everyone in our squad is still alive, so let's get them all into the green zone to finish this level. Jen will make some room, Banks clears the entrance as well, and then Dal will use her second charge to get into safety. And there we go, level complete in just 1 turn, and all confidence goals have been fulfilled. Alright, so Liv's immortal now and she can kill any of us almost instantly. Ideas? It's only really a problem if I die. True, if you survive somehow you could res us after. Oh, I just meant you matter less. But we're kinda backed into a corner here and I don't think she's gonna leave till we're all dead. Not a dogpile, but there is another issue. What? That's a 5-inch steel door. She can breach those. Alright, backed into a corner indeed. It is 4 against 1, but still we are at a severe disadvantage here. However, as we have just discussed, all hope is not lost, at least if we can manage for Banks to somehow survive. And well, the game provides a few hints in that regard, hints that we probably don't need. I'll give you a second here to think about what we might want to do. As for the moment, we simply start things off by moving Dal to block Liv's line of sight towards anyone else. Afterwards, it is then time to place the all-important Death's Door. This will be what Dessa has to enter in order to stay alive. Dal is also already dead and simply running over to the door is not going to cut it. We need to actively push Dessa into it, for example with a Gale Grenade. As a reaction, Jen gets shot, leaving Rion face to face with his former employer. Obviously he is not going to win this fight, but we can have a bit of fun here. Liv has used up all of her reactions, so with Impaling Vine and Rabbit Bite we can in fact kill her at least once. Eventually though we will have to end the stalemate here by ending our turn. Although on the next one we can in fact kill Liv once more. Another Impaling Vine here is good enough to deal 3 points of damage. At this point though, Liv is coming back with 4 hit points and well, you can see how this is getting more and more hopeless, so let's not prolong the inevitable. And so everyone now lies dead and Dessa is somewhere in the void, and this is where things are now getting really interesting. Huh. Always wondered what was inside one of these. My corpse, apparently. And, well, I suppose you can see where this is going. Hey. Hey. Alright, so we've got 2 Dessas now, and that's all there is to it, at least for now. Obviously, this is only just the beginning. Sharp suit. Thanks, it's spaghetti. I know. So, what brings you here? Toss up. Dead, dreaming, or I took too much diphenhydramine. You? Pushed into a death's door. Shit. Your own? Yeah. I'd avoid that. Special circumstances. I bet. Should we? Clear the room? Yeah. Okay then, things are about to get terribly noir for this one. Of course we need to have the black and white filter, and of course we need to have that kind of dialogue. Very important to note at this point, by the way, is that only our Dessa actually possesses all of the upgraded abilities. All of the resurrected versions, meanwhile, do not have abilities like Transference or Spectral Skull, and they also only have the standard version of Death's Door, something that will come into play later on. Now, as you can see, for the time being, the objective here is quite simple. We'll just resurrect Dessa after Dessa. There are no confidence goals to complete, but as you can see, we do have an enemy somewhere on the map, and we're going to meet them very soon, as we are now reaching the final room of this level, which includes not only Dessa, but also all 4 other wizards. Of course, they are dead too, but we don't need to resurrect them all to win this level. In fact, we only need one, Jen, the one who pushed Dessa into the Death's Door in the first place. Together, the 2 of them will now have to defeat the tracker and seal all 4 reinforcement doors, and here's how we're going to do that. First, a Gale Grenade gets Banks into position for door number 1 and gives her an extra move to also seal the second one. Then she's going to place a Death's Door behind the tracker. However, this one does not have the 1 tile range increase upgrade, so we will need to push the tracker directly into the wall. We'll take care of that in just a second. First, Jen will seal another door, and then Banks can deliver the first tile of knockback with a sedative cocktail. Jen can now follow that up with a static blast that eliminates the enemy and also gives her a bonus move, enough to seal the last reinforcement door and to complete the level. So, who pushed you? Jen. Who's Jen? You haven't met Jen Callan? Huh. How old are you? 27. I'm 29. You look great for 29. Thanks, it's the gin. I've been meaning to get into gin. Do it. Skip the flavored stuff. So why does Jen get to boss us around in 2 years' time? That's not how I would characterize it. We were in a tight spot, we needed to fake my death, and this let the marks see me fall into a seething maw of eldritch tentacles. It was actually a semi-smart solution. Ooh, she's a crush. What? God no, she's a... maybe not nemesis, those slots are full, but she's nemesis adjacent. An aspiring nemesis. Uh-huh. Like that's ever stopped us. Shut up and breach, child. Alright, interesting room ahead of us here with 7 snipers. By now you have probably also noticed that the entire affair with Banks here is eerily similar to Jen's anxiety dream, which is because this is in fact another one of those, and of course, depending on who you say pushed Banks into the Death's Door, the conversation we just had will always play out a little different. In any case, let's get to it. This level here is actually not all that tricky. After all, with 2 Dessas we can use Resurrect an unlimited number of times. However, we can also use a sedative cocktail to blast the first sniper into the abyss here, and then we're going to cast Transference on our clone and on the second of the remaining snipers, which will lead to the first one now taking that one out, allowing Banks 2 to get all the way to the middle of the room. Transferring that damage also completes our confidence goal, and since these snipers can only use their reaction shot once per turn, the real Dessa is safe to move up and can toss another one off the ledge. At this point then we are going to resurrect our clone, and now we are both out of movement and out of actions, so let us simply end our turn. By the way, doing so in this spot right here will also prevent the sniper directly to our left from firing another shot. Just like with Zan's predictive bolt, these snipers cannot aim at a tile that is already occupied by one of our wizards. Moving on then, we have two choices to proceed here. Either we could just trigger the fire and resurrect ourselves, or we choose what I suppose is the less traumatizing route, and we simply throw sedative cocktails at the snipers until they go down. Our upgraded version also deals 2 points of damage, which together with the base version from our clone is enough to defeat a sniper in one turn. So rinse and repeat here to defeat the final target standing in our way, although for achievement purposes we are actually going to clear out the entire map, as this is perhaps one of the easiest opportunities in the game to unlock the Lights Out achievement. So instead of heading for the green zone right away, we are now going to throw sedative cocktails at the remaining 2 trackers as well. In total, we have now dealt 9 points of sedative damage this level. To unlock the achievement, we need to make that 10, which again is extremely easy to achieve in this one. So one more click on the foresee button and the Lights Out achievement has been unlocked, and with that our 2 Dessas can now finally get out of here. So tell me about... hang on, do we need to worry about the thug with the M60 over there? Nah, it's fine, they wait their turn. Okay, so tell me about Jen. She's not like us. Bleeding heart, she doesn't see things the way we do. In black and white? Was that a reference to this filter? Was I making puns at 27? Why didn't someone execute me? No, sorry, I missed that. We haven't knowingly made a pun since that vitreous humor fiasco in med school. Phew. I'm glad you've got connections though. Crushes, nemesis, friends. Why? Well, I don't know where you're at, but I'm 6 months into executing bleeding gangsters to rewind their corpses all night, and it's done next to nothing for my sex life. Good to know it's not just 2 more years of this. Yeah, no, it's been fun. Good. I mean, I can tell you're lying, but I'm guessing it's for my sake, and I'm inclined to trust my own judgment on that. Damn, I was a wise 27. Alright, just like Jen back in episode 6, Dessa experiencing a bit of self-therapy here. Now, however, we've got a slightly more complicated mission ahead of us, one that we will use to unlock 2 more achievements. And of course, we also want to complete all confidence goals here, which requires us to resurrect some of our fallen squad members in the first place. Actually, if we do this right, we can resurrect them all on this first turn. Up first is Rion, who is also just about to complete his confidence goal, but before we get to that, let's quickly throw drugs at the tracker here, and then we're using Rion's impaling vine to drag the heavy gunner into the void. So that's them taken care of, confidence goal number 1 complete. Up next, we are now going to resurrect Jen, who Dessa may or may not have a crush on, and we also want to get Dessa a bit further towards the dell over in the corner. So let's use one of Jen's Gale Grenades to push her 1 tile closer, and with the extra mana we just grabbed, that is in fact close enough. Back up on her feet, Dell can now complete her confidence goal by charging the tracker over on this side of the map. You might recall that at the end of the last episode we upgraded her charge to deal an extra 3 points of knockback if she gets at least 3 tiles of run-up. Now at this point we are throwing a second Gale Grenade at Banks and Rion down here, which gives Banks enough movement to now also resurrect Zan. And just like that, all 5 of our heroes are back in action, and we even have an extra Banks to work with. To finish the turn, we can now static blast the tracker here with Jen, and then we're moving Zan into position to lay down a predictive bolt at the reinforcement door. I was also briefly tempted to grab this piece of intel with Rion, but doing so would put him in Zan's line of fire, so let's not do that. Turn number 2 then, we've got 3 reinforcements, 2 trackers and a heavy gunner, and we're going to take care of this tracker up here first. one sedative cocktail, and then a static blast to send them flying. And speaking of sedative cocktails, because we need to deliver an extra 3 tiles of knockback from making enemies unsteady, we are going to throw another one at the heavy gunner here, which causes the follow-up shot from Zan then to complete Banks' confidence goal. To take the heavy gunner out, we are then once again employing some trickery, this time using Rion's impaling vine to drag Zan into position. Finally then, it's Dal's turn, who, thanks to being resurrected, starts with 1 point of mana and can therefore now swap positions with Rion, and what follows is a sensor slam to eliminate the last enemy still standing. Using Zan's time boost, now upgraded to time bomb, we can now give extra actions to Jen and clone Dessa. However, in this case only the extra action for Jen is of interest to us, which we are now going to use to push Zan back 1 tile at the cost of 1 point of damage. As you can see, we have a reactor heavy gunner coming through the door behind Dal, so let's clear the path for another predictive bolt here, upgraded to deal 5 points of damage. That will be an instant kill. Finally then, we want to move Banks out of the grenade's explosion radius here, and then we can end our turn. So the heavy gunner goes down thanks to Zan's predictive bolt, leaving us once again with only 3 enemies. One of them a neutralizer that we might have to plan around just a little bit. In fact, that will be our first target. A static blast with Jen will put them in the right spot. Up next, we then want to prepare to unlock another achievement, and for that we need to group Rion, Dessa and Jen close together, and then we're using Zan's time bomb once more to give all 3 of them an extra action. Consequently, we unlock the time bomb achievement, which is now immediately going to help us transition over into the next one, as clone Dessa here applies 2 points of unsteady to the heavy gunner with her sedative cocktail. The real Dessa makes it 3 with 1 of her own, and that means we can now absolutely send this guy flying. So that would be the Legless achievement unlocked. We are making steady progress towards full completion here today. Up next, we can now have Zan shoot the neutralizer to get rid of them. Then we move him out of the explosion radius, and finally switch over to Dal to slam the tracker to clear the level. And there we are. Banks gets herself into safety as well. We hit the 4C button to let the grenade explode, and afterwards we can end our turn, and with that the mission. Shit, I remember this dream. I thought you were pushed into a death's door. I was. I remember the dream you're having. 2 years ago, I had a weird dream about rezzing myself over and over, but I forgot that we actually talked. Cool, so no point in me listening to you then, really? Well, unless we want to f with the timeline. Okay, in 2 years' time, you're gonna operate on a shooting victim named Jirin Wexler. Do the cranial intervention, but don't put the gun down. A semi-cute witch is gonna interrupt before you can res. Now, quick pause in the action here. This is actually the first thing resembling something like a true dialogue choice. As far as I can tell, this does not actually have any real consequences. So no matter what we say here, it is in fact not going to mess with the timeline. Nonetheless, the 3 dialogue choices here are radically different, so we are going with the one that is probably closest to what actually happened. Don't kill her, but don't get so caught up in her shit that you agree to get shoved into your own death's door 2 weeks later. Yeah, you got it bad. Alright, let's end this. I'd say it's been real, but it specifically hasn't. Alright then, a last level of this anxiety dream, and weirdly enough, it is in this level that we actually meet a brand new type of enemy. Noting that we need to use Death's Door to eliminate 4 hostiles, we also take a first look at the reactor medic, who, if possible, will use their turn to resurrect their allies. So, not too dissimilar to what Banks does, although their resurrection abilities are not quite as powerful. Either way, we go in and we plan on finishing this one quickly, which also involves taking out at least one of the 2 medics. We can achieve that by, very importantly, placing one of the upgraded Death's Doors behind the one on the right here, before clone Dessa then places her regular version behind the tracker on the left and uses her sedative cocktail to push them into it. So that would be 1 of 4, and in order to actually get that 4th one, we need a 3rd Banks. Luckily, there are 2 to resurrect in this room. The one we just rezzed can first place her death's door, and then use her sedative cocktail to push the medic here 1 tile back, enough to eliminate them. So that leaves us with only 1 medic and the tracker, albeit not for long. Another sedative cocktail takes care of them too, and with that we can pretty much end our turn. As you can see, the medic has changed targets and will now run over to the heavy gunner. However, as they are now being revived, we can see the resurrection abilities here are not yet on Dessa's level, as the gunner only comes back with half of their hit points. So 2 enemies left, one of them we need to dispatch off with a death's door, and because of their higher number of hit points, that one is going to be the medic. 1 sedative cocktail later and our confidence goal is completed, which now brings us back to Dessa, the real one, the only one who has access to Spectral Skull. And there we go, no need to resurrect the 4th Dessa, who you can see on the ground at the far end of the room. Had we not upgraded our Death's Door to be used twice per mission, that would be a different story though. So then, there we are, we complete Dessa Banks' anxiety dream and unlock the Back from a Dark Place achievement, and in addition we also unlock the Death's Floor perk. Essentially, this will allow Dessa to create a portal on the floor that links to an existing Death's Door. If you've played any of the Portal games, the first one is actually available as a full completionist playthrough on this channel, then you might already be able to see where this could go. I think we're going to have loads of fun with this. Oh, hey Zan. How did it go with Liv? Right, so considering that we can now spend a few perks here, it is probably correct to assume that our squad has somehow made it out of this alive after all, albeit perhaps with a brief interruption. Let's begin then with Dessa, most definitely the protagonist of today's episode. We're going to give her the lightheaded perk, increasing the amount of unsteady that is dealt by sedative cocktail, which might also give us an easier time unlocking some of these still remaining achievements. Some of those relate to Dal, and most of those relate to her charge ability, which now upgraded with momentum will get the Rampage 2 perk as well. I think that on the right map with a sufficient number of enemies and perhaps a bit of a setup, we should be able to trigger this somewhat reliably. Finally then, we are going to give the Quick Sprout perk to Rion to further upgrade his Impaling Vine. Essentially, this now allows him to use that vine on teammates for free, as the action point will get refunded if he does. And we saw earlier with him and Zan that there might be some use cases for this, so hopefully we're going to see a bit more of that in the future. Up next, it is then time to unlock one more achievement, as we are not only going to unlock the Scrapper outfit for Dal, which to my mind is certainly a choice, but we are also ready to give Rion his first outfit, Blood on the Ice, and I really don't think I need to comment on this any further. So, with our Druid Hitman looking dapper, we unlock the Complete the Look achievement, as all 5 of our squad members are now wearing unlocked outfits. And I would say let's keep going for just a little while longer, as there is of course a bit of an aftermath to what just happened. That was f***ing rough. No shit. You just died. I went to the death dimension and heard myself make a pun. I know why Liv's sick. Now that I've seen her up close, the bloodshot eyes, bleeding fingernails, dry voice, I've seen it before. She isn't just destroying mana, she's using it. Yep. Why? She already has craft. Didn't say. Figured she might be losing it. She was. That night in Dessa, she was slow. She'd never relied on me like that before. I thought it was just an off night, but Liv didn't have off nights. Now she's faster than ever and she's learned False Prophet. We are calling it Live and Let Die. That's like nothing in her spell set. Reactor gave her some half-baked vape gizmo. Does the mana, choose what you unlock when you juice. you up just the same, mind. Guessing that's a harder fix. That would be why she took me. Why she made me kill her. My craft takes her body back an hour. It didn't just cure the symptoms. I was setting her back to before she ever took it. She'd be clean. All the power and none of the consequences. Yeah, I buy this as a Liv Kennedey strat. Well, she's got consequences now. These are symptoms of repeated use. I knew a guy in college who juiced. By the time he looked like Liv, he was gone. Didn't care about anything else. He ever unlock? He got strength one time, punched down the back wall of the Union bar. He never got it back, even when he used. Broke every bone in his hands trying. Excuse me if I don't shed a tear for my captor's road to recovery, but I'm not on a mission to throw her an intervention. I came here to take her down. If she's still using, she's lost her reset button. She's on borrowed time. Next time we fight, I'm not taking a dive. We don't stop putting her down till she can't get back up. Zan? Your call. Okay, I need to get all this down. And with that, we are back in our beloved map screen, and yes indeed, the first move will be to move Rion from Liv's side to ours. Please don't ask me why all of the dossiers here are marked as unread. We have in fact already looked at them all. We also only have 2 more connections left to make, both of them are easy. Reactor is of course planning a coup in Midil, and Liv's sickness was in fact caused by using mana dust. And so that is now our grand picture for the moment, and if we now head over to the mission screen, then we can see that Banks' anxiety dream did in fact mark the end of Act 3, so not only do we unlock one last achievement here, we are also set to begin Act 4 Counter Heist next episode. For today, meanwhile, I think we have reached a good point to make the cut, so as always I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.